began to see that for real whenever I met the woman that would become my wife, Natasha. Now, we got married. We celebrate 20 years this summer. I know, and you're thinking that guy's so young, there's no way they could celebrate 20 years. And you're right. We got married at 18, which is not what I recommend anybody to do. I've told my kids that is against the law in our Grace House, which I realize will just make them want to do. But I met her, we were in ministry, and she was singing and I was preaching, and it was the perfect match made in heaven, and she respected the house of God as much as I did, and all that good stuff. And we lived about an hour apart, and so I didn't get to see her all that much. This was pre-cell phone and pre-internet, and so, you had to drive and go see people or pick up the phone and call them. And so like two, teenage dating, whatever, all the stuff teenagers do. We stayed on the phone hours at night and planned to go visit each other on the weekends. And so since she was a little bit far away, I remember she gave me this little red pillow that she had sprayed her perfume on. Now I'm going to tell you my heart here, all right? And man, I would take that pillow because I couldn't be near, and I'd sniff that pillow and I'd think of her. And I'd just think, man, she's so beautiful. And I can't wait to be with her again this weekend. I'm going to get to see her Friday night or whatever. And so I'd keep that pillow. I'd sleep with that pillow at night, and I'd put it in my vehicle and drive it to school or work with me during the day. And I'd smell that pillow. Now, what was I doing? I was identifying with her through an inanimate object. It didn't mean anything. That pillow, I wasn't in love with that pillow. Who cares about the pillow? But it's what the pillow represented. And then her and I got married. And I could smell her in the flesh and touch her in the flesh and not just think about her. I could look at her and I could see her and I could love on her. How many of you know at that moment I was done with the pillow? Okay? And if I hadn't been done with the pillow, she would have divorced me. Rightfully. Because I had the real thing. Why love a pillow when you have her? It would be the equivalent of falling in love with a picture of your spouse when you have your spouse. It's one thing to love the picture when you're away, but when you get home, put the picture away and hug the real thing. Kiss the real deal. I found that pillow a couple of years ago. We had moved a bunch of stuff into our basement. It had got put in a box, and it had been there years. Found that pillow and I pulled it out of the box, and it didn't smell the same as it had 20 years ago. But I remember having no emotional connection to that pillow again because I could just walk right up the stairs and see the real thing. I want to take you out of the age of shadows tonight. I want to introduce you to the fact that when the apostles wrote the New Testament, they were standing on the edge of the age of the shadow. They were right on the far side of where the shadows were receding into the background, the fullness of the light. Jesus was called the light of the world for a reason. The light was getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and the more that Jesus was proclaimed, the shadows began to recede into the background. But the apostles were not out of the age of shadows. They were still standing in the age of shadows. And they were dealing with shadows all over the place. Every time they went into the synagogue, they kept dealing with people who were in love with shadows. They were dealing with people who were wearing prayer shawls and talking about animal sacrifice and blowing shofar horns. And if you spent 10 seconds on Facebook today, you know as well as I do that it's Pentecost Sunday. And half the church world today rotated their entire service around a shadow day because you have the substance of the Spirit. Why would you celebrate the shadow? Now, I'm not going to try to offend a soul today. I know you do. The minute you start stepping on shadows, you hurt people's feelings because it is easy to romance shadows and fall in love with shadows. But I want to show you that the substance is so much better. The pillow's fun, but let's get married to the real thing. All right? I mean, the pillow's one thing, but if you can have the real deal, you don't want the pillow anymore. You don't want the picture if you can have the real person. And so we want to go on a journey and see what these apostles were doing to try to take us out of one age and into another. Let's take that journey together. Colossians chapter 2, verse number 16. So let no one judge you in food or in drink or regarding a festival. By the way, the word festival in the Greek is feast days. You're in one right now on the Jewish calendar. Just so happens I was asked to preach today on Pentecost Sunday. Festival or a new moon or a Sabbath, because these are a shadow of things that are to come, but the substance is of Christ. The word substance in the Greek literally means the body is of Christ. And so the other stuff is a shadow of the body. So I don't want to insult your intelligence, but if you put a light up here tonight and a body stands in front of the light, what lays on the floor? Shadow. But the shadow is really nothing. Right? I mean, if you turn the light off, the shadow goes with the light. If you step out of the light, the shadow vanishes, or it picks up another light. Maybe it picks up that light and the shadow jumps. The shadow's not really moving. You wouldn't follow the shadow and try to have a conversation with it, introduce yourself to the shadow, because you know that it's not the real thing. In fact, the shadow just lets you know there's a body. So what the shadow's supposed to do is you're supposed to go up the shadow until you see the body. Paul says, since Jesus, this is the first part of Colossians 2, he says, since Jesus has removed the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, that was contrary to us, that was in our way, and he's taken it out of the way, and he's nailed it to his cross, and he's triumphed over the enemy in it, made a show of them openly. So because of that, don't let anyone judge you in how you respond to shadow days. Whether it's a Sabbath or a festival or food or a moon or any of the other, don't let anybody again ever make you feel bad for not loving the red pillow. Okay? He says, never again. Why? Why don't you let anyone insult you like this? Because Jesus has taken it out of the way and nailed it to his cross. And the equipment that the enemy used to use against you, yeah, how many of you realize that the enemy, Jesus called him the father of lies? I got a question about this from the other side of the world today via email. Someone emailed me a question on a sermon I just posted online, and the Lord was giving them a revelation. I thought it was spot on, and so I told them, I think you're spot on in this revelation. And they said, I've always felt like the devil was a thief, and I need clarification. And I emailed back, I said, the devil is not the thief. I said, Jesus said the devil is the father of lies. What the devil is good at is lying. That's his whole job. He's not the thief. John chapter 10 says the thief came to steal, kill, and destroy. Most Christians go, the devil's out to steal, kill, and destroy. No. He cannot steal, he cannot kill, and he cannot destroy because he's already been defeated. I mean, if he's been defeated, how's he going to be a destroyer? But if he's been defeated and he loves a lie about it. So he didn't get his vocal cords cut. God just defeated him at Calvary, but he still gets to talk. The thief that steals, kills, and destroys, Jesus said, all that have ever come before me are thieves and robbers. And he said, any way in, John chapter 10, any way in other than through the door, that's a thief. So, what came before Jesus? Everything else. Or let's say it this way. What came before the body? So the shadow is a thief and a robber. All right? The enemy's not the thief and the robber. The enemy just lies about the shadow being the real deal. You know God would hear you if you put on a prayer shawl. You know God would do this in your life if you'd go to church more. Now, we'll get to some of that as we go. I just giving you an appetizer, all right? Just giving you an appetizer. But the enemy loves a lie about shadows. So the thief that steals, kills, and destroys is not the devil. The thief that steals, kills, and destroys is anything and everything that's been placed in front of you to do what Christ has already done for you.